It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Thanks for tuning in to the Sean Widmer Podcast. Hope the weekend was great. We're going to catch up on how the weekend went here because I've got an observation that happened today that I don't know how I feel about it. Still, right now. It happened this afternoon, and I don't know, now recording at almost 11 o'clock p.m., how I feel about this interaction. And I didn't even have the personal interaction. I witnessed it. We're going to talk about that. I want to talk about a food item. I want to talk some sports, and more. Again, thanks for tuning in. If you want to be part of the podcast, if you want to get a comment in, you can listen or go to Spotify. If you listen on Spotify, comment there. You can go to seanslife.com and you can comment there. Or if you're watching on YouTube, I believe we had one on YouTube for today. You can go over to YouTube and do that. Thank you to the people who checked out the late Friday into Saturday podcast to end the week. I'm sorry I didn't get it up. Again, sorry I didn't get up earlier, but that's just what I had when I had time to do it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And we're in for another week. It's a good week. It's going to be a good week. Nerdy week for me. There's a lot of just good stuff. Basketball, get to play some hoops on Monday. Get to play some games on Tuesday. And then hardcore nerd stuff on Thursday night. Critical Role Season 4 is happening, starting Campaign 4. Wednesday night, I guess we talked about it right off the bat. Wednesday night, Survivor. And I think everyone needs to be on Survivor. I've already mentioned this, but everyone needs to be on Survivor. It's going to be a good season. This week, we'll talk about what happens in the episode, but I just catch up. It's go to CBS.com and catch up if you aren't recording it, and then record it, or however you need to get around to watch it. Paramount app. I don't know where. Figure out how to watch Survivor. Can you still watch shows on CBS.com? As soon as I said that, I was like, that might not be. That might not be. Yeah, let's see here. Where are you, Survivor? I see Big Brother season finale going on. Where is Survivor? Can I just click on Survivor here? There's Survivor. Let's see what happens. I haven't tried to watch anything on CBS.com for a while, but there it is. Season 49, episode 1, act 1 of a horror film. It's available on CBS.com. So go catch up and then watch this season. Okay. Let's talk food real quick before we get into my observation. I saw that IHOP is doing something, and it led to something I don't think about a lot, but when I do, I'm wondering why I'm not involved in this more. I am not a big breakfast eater. I do not eat breakfast in the morning a whole lot. This has kind of been a long time thing for me. I am not against all breakfast foods, but I am against more of them than I'm for more of them. There's less that I like. When it comes to lunches and dinners, I like a vast array, a big variety of lunches, a big variety of dinner objects, and I can get down with those. Breakfast, smaller little piece of the pie in the terms of the big pie of foods you eat in the morning. So I have not been a big breakfast eater, but there are a few that I like. And IHOP announced that they are launching coffee cake pancakes. I don't know how that's going to be. Coffee cake pancakes. They looked kind of weird. They looked weird. They looked like pancakes with coffee cake style toppings on the pancakes. I don't know. But that's not what I was going to bring up. Those may be great. Coffee cake is so good, and it is a sleeper favorite food of mine. Now, I also am very particular about my coffee cake because I'm going to look up coffee cake real quick, and I'm going to see what I see here. There's a very specific kind of coffee cake that I like, and it is one where there are swirls of the coffee cake goodness. I don't even know what that stuff is. The brown part of it. You got the white cake, and then you've got the brown stuff that goes either in the middle of it, but this one is like swirls through from the top down around it. And I don't know how to describe it. I'm looking online right now to see if there's different kinds. And then like there's ones where there's like more of a chunk of whatever that innards is. There's more of a chunk of it. But a really good coffee cake I love. My mom makes a coffee cake that I love. Some are dry and they just have that crumbly stuff on top and it's not quite enough. But if you can get me a good coffee cake, piece of coffee cake, get it warm and put a little, what you would see in a commercial for a pancake, a little square of butter and set it on top and let it kind of melt on it. Oh my gosh. It's so good. And I haven't had coffee cake in forever. Am I going to try to make one? Who knows? Maybe. What with all this free time that I have raising 3 children and working. My wife and I just have so much free time to work on new recipes. That's yeah. Although I am going to tomorrow, and I'm recording this on Sunday night. Tomorrow morning, I am going to wake up early and make pancakes. Just make a bunch of pancakes for Olivia for breakfast. I haven't done that in a while, and we kind of try to get rolling and get out of the door pretty quick. I think tomorrow I'll wake up a little earlier, get the pancake batter ready, get everything ready that I need to go, and then when she comes downstairs at 6:30, we'll just put those bad boys on the griddle, and we'll get the pancakes. Anyways, shout out to Coffee Cake, and shout out to IHOP for mixing two. I do like pancakes, coffee cake. There you go. Killer combo. Will it be good? I don't know. Go to IHOP and try it out for me. I witnessed something today that I don't know what I think about. Now, today yesterday I took my kids to the park, and it was just part of the Saturday morning fun event. If you want to see it, you can go over to my Patreon and the video from Saturday showed us the park. And I took my kids to the park on Saturday, not knowing this park had a big, huge splash pad, and it has a huge splash pad, huge. So I went over because I knew it had multiple climbing towers with slides coming off of it, sort of an intermediate, mediate, overmediate. Those aren't correct terms, but you know what I'm talking about. Expert level. What would be the video game thing? Rookie mode, pro mode, and all Madden. 3 different styles of climbing tower. And so I was like, this is great. I've got 3 different levels of children. So this will be a fun place to go. And it was great. But there was this splash pad, and it took over my daughter's mind. She could not think of anything else because it looked awesome, and it was awesome. And she was like, can I go in there? I'm like, no, we didn't bring you a change of clothes. I don't want you just dripping wet all over my car. So I'm just like, no, we're not going to go do that right now. Sorry, babe. Well, she hounded me about it all night last night. She's like, I really want to try that splash pad. And I was kind of like, I want to check it out too. It looked kind of sweet. So today, Sunday, I'm like, we're going to go back there. So I told my kids, we're going to go back. I thought, well, wait until my wife gets back. She was driving back from St. Louis. It's like a 5.5 hour drive. So she was going to be back mid-afternoon. And I was like, when she gets home, I can leave the baby child, Woods, at the house. And I'll take the 2 older kids to the splash pad, and we'll test this thing out, see how it goes. So Anna got home. Huck, because he's a mama's boy, he decided to stay home with Anna. And then inevitably, like all kids do, I said, dude, I know you want to go to the splash pad, but Anna's like, you could stay with me. We could go on a walk. So then he's got options going in his head. And as soon as you give the boy options, he's always going to make the wrong choice. That's his thing. He just needs one option. Huck just needs one option and just do it. And we need to make the pick for him because we're smarter than he is. We just are. Anyhow, he made the wrong choice, stayed with mom. I guess he cried the whole time we were gone. Sorry, Huck. Next time, buddy. Next time. And to my wife, she just got home from a 5.5 hour drive, and Huck just cries for an hour and a half. Welcome home. Aren't you glad you came back from St. Louis? So anyhow, Olivia and I head off to this splash pad at this park. And as I'm driving, I'm kind of nervous, like, please be open, because I don't know. I didn't look it up or anything. I'm just assuming. And I'm like, this is Sunday afternoon. It's getting later in the day. Is this, going to be open at 4 o'clock? Thank goodness when we got there, I'm stretching up, looking out the window, and I see water coming out of the splash pad. I'm like, okay, good. And it's huge. Big splash pad. It's probably the size of a basketball court. Huge water, the water's just spraying 20 feet in the air out of the little spigots on the ground. They've got little guns you can point, and they spray water out across the splash pad. And in the middle, they've got this huge arch with a huge tub of water that gets filled up. And then when it gets filled up, it tips, hits a ramp, and sprays a huge waterfall of water onto anyone who's standing below it. It's really cool. Great splash pad. Love it. So we get there. Olivia gets out of the truck. She sprints over to it. And, we're in the low 80s in Lexington today. I'm kind of nervous it's going to be too cold. No, she just gets in there and she starts playing. Kudos to my daughter. She's very personable. When you meet her, she doesn't feel super outgoing when you meet her and you're talking to her, but she's very approachable and she's very welcoming. And I love that about her. So I look up, and to start with, it's just her in the middle of the splash pad where the big waterfall happens, and she's just dancing. She's just dancing in her own world, and one by one, little girls come up. This little guy comes up, and they start talking to her, and she starts talking to them, and she ropes them all in. And next thing you know, she's got this group of 5 people, 5 little kids, just dancing around the waterfall, having a great time. We stayed there for like an hour doing this. And this is not my problem. None of that is my problem. All of this is the positive of a great splash pad. The problem I had is that, there's probably 30 kids running around this splash pad. It whittled down to about 20 for the last half hour of it. It's a pretty good amount for the size of the splash pad. But all of a sudden, about 15 minutes in, this couple came. And if you think, I'm not trying to be mean about it. This is just, you think of two adults who are coming to a splash pad. We all just thought of the same person to get in the splash pad, not to bring their kids, to get in the splash pad. 2 adults who are going to get into the splash pad. We all thought of the same people. They show up, and they just start like running around. They're probably in their early mid-30s, and they start like walking through the splash pad and like pointing the guns at each other, and running through, not really running, but like quickly walking through a lot of the big spouts of water and all this, and they're just kind of milling around. And I kind of was watching, and I'm like, first of all, it looks very uncomfortable, sir, that you're in jean shorts right now that are soaking wet. That just seemed wildly uncomfortable. But whatever. Interesting option for the gal. It was like, at any moment, it felt like we were going to see more than we needed to see. And I was like, I don't want to see anymore. We don't need to see anymore. No one needs to see anymore. So it's just kind of wild, right? But they're having a big time, and they're walking around. And I started going, where's their kid? Where's the kid? And I realized as this was going on after about 10 minutes, there's no kid. It was just 2 grown-ups in their early to mid-30s walking through the splash pad amongst all the kids. And they're not, I don't want to make this sound creepy. They're not going up to the kids and like, hey kids, are you loving the splash pad? Come with us. But, as they're walking on the splash pad, inevitably they are in the path of children, and they're, talking to them, and, whoa, you got me with the gun, right? Oh, are you going to go under the waterfall too? And they're standing like under the waterfall as it falls down with my, they're 34, and they're standing next to my 6-year-old as the waterfall, 5-year-old as the water falls down on them. And I'm like, it felt weird, right? But I also, for a second, went out. Olivia really wanted me to take a video of her with the water falling down on her head. And so I went out there to take a video, and I kind of, brushed into one of the things of water, and I was like, boy, that's refreshing. Boy, that's refreshing. And the water kind of came up and splashed on me while I was out there, and I was like, man, that feels good. That feels really good. That's fun. That water pressure, to kid to adult, that water pressure coming up and hitting me on the underside of my gigantic biceps. Kind of fun. That big, huge waterfall thing was kind of enjoyable when the water splashed up on me, and I'm hot and sweaty, and now this water feels good. So as much as I was like, wanted to have an issue with them being out there, the second I went out there to take these pictures of my daughter, I was like, this is really nice. This is really nice. So I don't know. What is it? Should I have been bothered that there was young 30-year-olds walking through this public area, a public splash pad, but knowing they're the only adults in the splash pad amongst 10-year-olds and under? I don't know. I feel like overall, I don't feel like it was wrong. It just seemed weird when I suddenly realized, they don't have a kid out there. They're here jamming out with my 5-year-old under the waterfall because it's cool. So there we go. All right, spent too much time talking about that. That was my observation today. So a couple quick sports things. Bad Bunny is going to be doing the halftime show. I'm sure everyone saw this by now because it was, the big news during Sunday Night Football. Bad Bunny. So I don't know a ton about Bad Bunny. I know that there are songs of his that I've heard and I like because they have Latino. They're very Latino leaning. I grew up in Latin America. I like Latino music. I like the sound of it. And so I am excited about I get excited about his music because I do like the Spanish part of it. But I couldn't tell you a bunch of Bad Bunny songs. I couldn't list a bunch of Bad Bunny songs. I don't know a ton about him besides, what he looks like and that he was on, I think he dated Kylie Jenner for a second and he was on Happy Gilmore 2. And I've got nothing against him. So they announced him for the Super Bowl halftime show. I'm excited about it, but not for like the reason of I know his music, because I don't. Right? If I'm choosing the halftime show, I'm choosing Weezer. They're my favorite. They're a band that I know every one of their songs to, and I just love them. And for me, everyone has their band. They saw Bad Bunny. They're like, well, I don't want it to be Bad Bunny. I want it to be my favorite artist. Duh. We all want it to be our favorite artist. Okay? Here's why I was excited that it was Bad Bunny. And here's why I think we need to be happy about this. I like that the halftime show for the Super Bowl still means something. I like that it is still something that big artists want to do or are still doing. And it may that the last few years may not have been your cup of tea, and they may not have been artists that you like. And you're like, well, I haven't liked a halftime show artist since 2015. Let's see who was the halftime show. That sounds like a Bruno Mars year. Let's see who was halftime show 2015. Was Katy Perry. Oh boy, I don't want to talk about that Super Bowl. Let's click out of that one. I didn't like the Super Bowl in 2015. The only thing about that I liked was Katy Perry. Okay. I liked Katy Perry and everything leading up to the last minute of that game. I didn't really hate. Okay, let's not talk about that anymore. Anyways, the halftime show means something because what the Super Bowl did just now is they got the highest streaming artist of the year over Taylor Swift. I believe that is correct, over Taylor Swift, because there's more of a worldwide vibe with Bad Bunny, right? In the United States, Taylor Swift ran away with it, but worldwide, Bad Bunny, they got that person to do the Super Bowl halftime show. It wasn't like they got the 15th, the 20th, the 30th highest streaming artist. They got number one. So that means the halftime show still means something, which I really, really like. And I have to, as I get older and I'm 43 and I'm going to be 44, and that's just how time works, I got to accept the fact I'm on the older end of what the halftime show is doing. It's a young man's sport. The halftime show is. You've got young men playing football, and so they have an artist that I'm sure a lot of the people who play football listen to. Okay, it's not a band from the early 90s or late 80s or 70s. It's someone who's popular right now, and I'm guessing that when you were in your 20s, you wanted it to be someone like that. So I love it. I'm excited about it. Will I know any of the songs? No. Will I at some point say, man, I really wish this was artist X? Of course I will. I'll name someone that I'm more familiar with, but I love that the Super Bowl halftime show still means something. Kelly's What Are You Into Today is a weird one because it's something that I didn't think I was into at all.
Kelly's What Are You Into?
The Ryder Cup consumed my brain today, Sunday. Consumed my brain. The Ryder Cup is a golf tournament where the United States takes on Europe. It is a wild how arrogant and just dumb America is when it comes to golf. The President's Cup is America versus the world. And the Ryder Cup is America versus Europe. Not North America versus Europe. America, USA versus Europe. Silly. So silly. So if you want to play in the Ryder Cup and you're Canadian, you're from Mexico, desde Venezuela, if you're from, one of the African nations, you're South. Who is the famous South African golfer? Who is it? Vijay Singh? Okay. Famous South African golfer is Gary Player, Ernie Els, right? Those are some big names right there. Retief Goosen. These guys couldn't play in the President's Cup because they're from neither America or Europe. It's a wild thing. It's a big deal, and it eliminates. Now, you could play in the President's Cup as part of the world. It does seem like there should be people with the USA. If you don't want to really look super arrogant and egotistical, you probably should do like Eastern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere, or Northern, Southern, not just America verse. And it's like, look, we're going to get 6 to 12. I don't know how many are on the roster. 6 to 12 Americans. Good luck. World, you can also provide 6 to 12. Good luck. Canada. Anyways, the Ryder Cup took place, and my original thoughts were like, why is the Ryder Cup going to happen on Sunday against the NFL? This is silly. And then I started peeking in on it. Brandon told me, hey, check out the Ryder Cup. I complained about it to him, and he listened to me. And then the Ryder Cup started to get kind of somewhat close. He goes, switch over. And I did, and I was hooked. Totally hooked. USA lost. I despise Rory McIlroy, and he kind of helped carry Europe through the first 2 days of this. But then, of course, Scottie Scheffler was like, yo, I'm number one, you're not. And so you will not beat me on Sunday, which was great. But he had all his stuff. The crowd kind of crossed the line with Rory yelling at him, but he had the F-bombs back at the crowd. It was, kind of the crazy stuff. I like crowds yelling at players and players yelling at crowds. I think there's a line both ways that you don't want to cross, just normal. But I do love a good semi-clean heckler. And I do love when the players like Rory yell back. I love that. It's like my dream. So I just love it. Anyhow, I was watching this and I was like, wait, this does hold up. This does hold up on a Sunday. And so I'm kind of into it now. I'm very mad that it's only once every 2 years. These are things I knew. I did a sports radio show for a long time. I covered the Ryder Cup. I talked plenty about the Ryder Cup in the mid 2000s into the early 2010s. Okay. And I've kind of blacked it out of my mind because I don't really love golf. So when I was working at sports, I'd cover golf because that was the thing to talk about. People love it. People were passionate about it. It was right in Tiger days. So it was big. Golf was huge. But once I got done doing sports radio, I never really followed golf religiously. I don't peek in on it every weekend. I like other stuff. I'm not a huge golf guy. I respect it though. And I really want America to win this in 2 years. And so I had a lot of really bad takes about the Ryder Cup that I shot off to Andy and Ryan today. They're really bad. And I don't even feel like sharing them on here. One of my takes, though, is I want us to bring one of our most alpha male professional athletes that's not a golfer. Andy has informed me this is not allowed, but I want to bring someone like Pat Beverly from the NBA, LeBron, Michael Jordan. Steph Curry's a real good golfer. I just don't think he fits what I'm looking for. I want to send a trash talker, Gary Payton. I want to send a trash talker to the Ryder Cup, a professional trash talker who played a sport that is, more athletic. It's just more athletic than golf. Okay. Football, basketball. And I want to send someone out and just have them talk all the trash the first 2 days. And I want us to play the mental game inside the mental game. And I've been told this is a terrible idea, but I really want it to happen. So, and I would love it if we flexed on World by sending an athlete from one of the big sports that only exists in the United States, right? People play golf all over the world. There's not an NFL. There's no football anywhere else. The biggest sport of them all. Send our best football golfer and be like, look, you guys don't have one of these. Just us. All right, that's it for the podcast. I don't know where that's even going. I guess I want to say I'm into the Ryder Cup. I didn't think it was. I felt like, why are they going against football? Then I watched it, and I owe the Ryder Cup an apology. You are fitting to go against football today. It was very enjoyable, even with the USA losing. Roberta said this over on YouTube. Good evening. Glad I looked just now. Some people have made skills that others don't. Way to know your lane, Sean. I had a friend at my last job who bought me one of those adult bibs because I couldn't eat nectarines without spilling juice on my shirt every time. I need an adult bib, Roberta. And by that, I just mean I need to buy a bunch of those big black trash bags and just cut holes in each one for my head and my arms and just put them on every time I eat. And just act like it's raining every time I eat. All right, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.